And welcome everybody to the 2018 Canadian National Championships. Tim Baghurst joined by Mitch Braley.
1-0.
This is the men's semifinal, the first one to Iwaasa against number 3 Landeryou. Exactly how the seeds were predicted, exactly how they have turned out. Mitch, what can we expect in this match?
Well, these two here are definitely not unfamiliar with one another. They played each other at number selection events a couple of months ago. You can see Iwaasa, like he already has his first few points coming out with that fiery drive serve. He wants to get off to a good start in the rally and just have short 3-shot rallies, use his power and his speed to his advantage. Landeryou's going to try and slow the game down with a lobbing game.
The score. This is what Iwaasa's wanted. Mitch, Tim Landeryou, brother of James Landeryou, who's also been in this tournament. Very experienced player, far more so than his opponent.
He is for sure, so you're going to see he's going to come out with a game plan. I thought he was going to be long. He's going to be going for a lot of precision racquetball. He doesn't want the rallies to break down, having Iwaasa cutting balls off, using his power, hitting a lot of angles, so he wants to keep him off balance, use his lanes effectively, down lines, cross courts, and he's going to be hitting some precision but high percentage shots.
Ace serve for Iwaasa, slides one down the right side.
4-0. Second serve.
Terrific snap of the wrist from Landeryou to go cross court, side out. Iwaasa typically quite aggressive in his play.
He is, and you saw how many good quality shots Landeryou had to hit in that rally alone just to hit a winner here. I mean, he hit some great shots to the left side there. I wanted to small ball, but still got there to hit a good quality ceiling ball, so he makes you work for every point.
Second serve.
Second serve coming up. Little frustration from Landeryou. You don't normally hear that in his game. He generally plays quite composed.
Yeah, he does. I think he knows that this is you know, it's still early on, only 4-1, but he knows it's an important time in this match just to establish himself and try and take Iwaasa out of his game early.
1-4.
1 serving 4. Iwaasa wanted the screen by the looks of it. Maybe a short serve. Landeryou's appealing the short serve. So 2 line judges agree. Landeryou appealed his own serve as a screen.
Yeah, something you don't see a lot is appealing a call that in theory is going against you, but Iwaasa won that rally there, so he was hoping that line judges would overrule, call a screen, and they would replay that point so he'd be back in the service box.
Nice soft hands from Landeryou to guide it into the front right court. Shows he has a lot of control. We saw that especially in doubles on that right side.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks easy from here, but it takes a lot of presence of mind to be able to stay low, commit, and keep that ball down so that doesn't come up at all for your opponent.
Big sigh from Landeryou, shake of his head.
4-1.
Still 4-1. It was 4-0. We've been here a little while, back and forth, side out, side out.
Yeah, so it seems like they're feeling each other a little bit. I know they've played a lot in the past, but you know, every tournament's different, courts are different, so they're just still kind of finding their rhythms and trying to establish themselves.
I like the aggressiveness of Iwaasa to take that as it was coming off the front wall, but he didn't put it down, hit it, pinch left. Landeryou was right there.
I think we'll see him make that correction, and next time he's cutting some balls off, he'll be hitting lanes, down the lines, cross courts. Higher percentage shots, but put so much pressure on when you're cutting the ball off in the service box.
Point for Landeryou. Seems to have settled down in this game. He won yesterday in a fairly close match. Iwaasa was pretty comfortable in his. They only play 1 a day, so fatigue shouldn't really be a factor. Both of these athletes are quite fit.
They do a lot of off-court conditioning so they can make sure that even late in the tournament here, I mean, we're on the second last day semifinals, they're still playing to the best of their abilities, not letting fatigue, aches, and pains affect their game.
Wow. Fist pump from Iwaasa. Flick of the wrist, but so much power.
Yeah, it almost makes you think as an opponent, you know, what shot do I have to hit to beat him in this rally? He hit a fairly crisp down the line, and Iwaasa jumped all over it and killed a pinch. It's so tough to do, but he does it consistently.
Well, I'm not sure what Iwaasa was trying to do in that situation. Jam serve maybe, or it was just a mishit cross-court serve, but Landeryou really controlled it well. Again, showing, you know, how he's able to control somebody's power. Very smooth in the way he plays.
He is, and he's got such a nice, short, compact swing, so, you know, those serves that normally would jam other players, he has such a clean swing to get through quickly, and he can re-kill it very effectively.
This is a long rally. No one will want to lose this one. Wow. Really tough shot from Iwaasa. Landeryou bangs the sidewall in frustration. I said it was important to win that one. It can change momentum. It's a long rally. You can get a little winded. We'll see if Iwaasa can capitalize, but I like how Landeryou is slowing him down. You mentioned yesterday how Iwaasa likes to play really fast. Let's get on with it. Landeryou says, hold on a minute. Let's slow down.
Yeah, and that last rally we saw with that scrappiness is the exact rally he wants to avoid because he's missing some opportunities. They're not easy shots, but Iwaasa likes that. He likes to break down that rally, so Landeryou wants to recompose himself, get away from that, and realize the type of rallies he wants to be getting into here.
Looks like Landeryou will be taking a timeout. Just a reminder that we're here in Winnipeg, Manitoba for the Canadian National Championships. This is the men's semifinal. We have another one coming up. What can we expect in that second semifinal?
We have Pedro Castro, Samuel Murray, both from the same province of Quebec. Again, like Iwaasa and Landeryou here, played each other a number of times in the past. Very close as they were coming up as juniors. Castro, I believe, is, I want to say 1-2 years older at the most, so there's a lot of times they played each other at the junior careers, coming up through the open levels, so they know each other's games very well. Murray, obviously, with his Pro Tour experience and the amount he's been training, has had the advantage these last few years here over Castro, but Castro's a very talented athlete, has some unbelievable hands, very quick, so he can put up a tremendous fight against the #1 seed Murray with his athleticism.
Well, we have 2 selection events in Canada in addition to the national championships, and Murray's won both selection events, so I think it's fair to say he's the heavy favorite for this title, but he's never won it before.
He hasn't, no. He's, like we talked about, he won his last 2 events. Last year at the Nationals, he played against Michael Green, obviously one of, if not the top Canadian male players of all time with the amount of titles that he's won, so he lost in a closely contested 12-10 tiebreaker. Mike, obviously very experienced. Samuel Murray, knowing that his time was coming, I'm sure he learned a lot from that match, but he's still thinking back to it, realizing how much he wants this one, how important this title is to him, and he's ready for another shot here 1 year later.
Well, we're back in, and the momentum continues in favor of Iwaasa. He takes another point. It's 6-2. There's a great jam serve, and it shows exactly what you can do with it.
That's perfect. I mean, that is the perfect textbook jam serve there. I mean, you have a player as good as Landeryou missing that, not catching up to it, shows just how much power is behind it, how perfect the angle is.
Well, there is an example of that door. It's got a different bounce on it to the rest of the glass. That's not a court hinder in Canadian racquetball, and the ball took a strange bounce. You also had to lunge at it, put it in the floor. There's a point for Landeryou. Let's see if that settles him down. But a big error from Landeryou. We've seen him down this week in multiple games, and he's managed to come back. Let's see if he can do it against the #2 seed.
Yeah, he's one player that just plays steady. I know he's obviously down here, but he's going to stick with his game plan and just keep going for smart shots. He missed that last pincher, but I'm sure we'll see him clean that up and make the next one if he gets an opportunity to do so.
I think we have a broken ball on that serve. So I think that was a broken ball on a second serve. Does then it become a first serve?
It would just be a second serve start.
First serve coming up. We hold that against you, Mitch.
That's my mistake. I apologize to all the viewers at home.
Landeryou seems to be struggling a little bit with Iwaasa's power. Well, Landeryou says, I want to appeal, but I don't know what it was. Was it a skip or carry? I think you have to state what exactly you were appealing rather than almost in a hopeful appeal.
Yeah, I don't know what he'd... I think you're right.
It sounded strange when Iwaasa hit it. There's no doubt. Back in the back right. But
I thought he just might have dug it out with his frame. I think Landeryou obviously thinks there was the ball skipped off his racket or carried, but again, tough to call as a referee outside, so I wouldn't waste an appeal on something that you're not so sure about yourself.
Well, it looks like Landeryou is the one going in the box, so not really sure what the result of that was. Three serving 9, Landeryou in the service box, changing, no, sticking with that lob. Aggressive from Iwaasa.
It's a tough shot to him, and he was cutting it off, almost slicing it there, and he pulled it down the line really clean.
There's a great example of the hands of Landeryou. Straight down the line from Iwaasa, hit it really hard. Landeryou just guided it to the front wall as opposed to trying to swing.
And that probably would have been a winner against most other players in the world. So to have those hands to stay low and re-kill that is extremely tough. Very impressive.
Screen serve. Well, I know Landeryou plays a lot of squash, and you can see it sometimes in the flick of his wrist, especially when he goes cross court.
You can, and he's a huge promoter of high percentage passing racquetball, but it's also similar to squash where you have that tin, I believe it's 12 inches high, so you're not allowed to hit that. You have to play smart, use really strong placement, and build the rallies to where you want it to be, and he takes a lot of that and puts it into his racquetball game.
Well, he's switching it this time. Avoidable hinder called. Iwaasa doesn't like it. He can appeal, but I don't think he'd win that appeal, Mitch.
I don't think so either. I think there's times where you have to realize maybe it wasn't the correct call. I think it was in this instance, but you have to save your appeals for a time that's probably a little more tight in the game here.
Again, very aggressive from Iwaasa, just taking it early, not letting the ball bounce. It's unusual. Don't always see that very much, but it's very effective if you can execute.
Yeah, it takes so much control of your shots and so much. It's such a mindset that you have to build to be able to cut the ball off consistently, continually attack. You can't get complacent. You have to be in good shape to do it because it's so demanding on your body to do that every single rally throughout an entire tournament like he's done.
Wow. Such athleticism from the young Canadian. He's fighting for a spot on the national team. Of course, how they finish this tournament along with the other selection events and doubles determines who represents Canada at the World Championships later this summer. So, Landeryou appealed a wet ball on the serve. The line judges overturned official Terry Nelson's decision, so a replay is what is taking place. Iwaasa's athleticism makes Landeryou hit one more shot.
We've talked about that all week, making your opponent hit that extra shot, even if it's a setup, draws out those mistakes. So that's just a great rally from Iwaasa.
And again, that jam serve pays dividends.
Hey, he missed that one there where Landeryou was able to poke at it, bring it down the line, but ever since then he's really cleaned it up and got nothing but weak returns, and he's re-killed that third shot beautifully.
So Iwaasa at that time appealed the short serve. He thought it was good. One agreed, one disagreed, so call stands. Second serve. Not a great Zed serve. Was pretty short. Landeryou really attacked that one.
Yeah, and it shows just how good Iwaasa serves have been in this game, that Landeryou's had so few re-kills right off the serve. But he'll punish him if he hits a loose one.
Landeryou looks to the ceiling. He knows he had an opportunity. Another side out. That's just unbelievable. What a serve.
Wow. I don't even think Landeryou flinched.
Well, Landeryou appealed it. Both line judges agreed with our referee. That's a point. Textbook racquetball. Great serve. Forces the poor return. Finish it on that second shot.
Yeah, and you see he didn't even go for too much. He was set up in the service box, but just hit a good foot-high pass. Hard, perfect angle, but didn't run the risk of skipping it.
That time Landeryou goes cross court and gets the side out. Saves a game point. 5 serving 14. Well, it wasn't pretty. Both of them, both of them are talking after that rally, knowing that if it's a long rally, you had opportunities earlier to put that ball away. Neither did until Landeryou after multiple efforts.
Yeah, they both had probably 2 or 3 chances to end that easily, especially in that front left corner, but neither of them do, and Landeryou gets away with the point here. Smiling, he knows he got away with a few there.
Great serve, Landeryou. .6 game point. There's the first game. 15-6, taken by the number 2 seed, Kobe Iwaasa. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back for game number 2. And we're back in for game number 2, everybody. Tim Baghurst, Mitch Braley, semifinal number 1 for the men. Men's I'll start again. Opportunity to advance to the final here at the Canadian National Championships. You're looking at Kobe Iwaasa, the number 2 seed. He's waiting for number 3 seed Tim Landeryou, who walks in now. Iwaasa won the first 15-5. Mitch, put yourselves in the shoes of Tim Landeryou. You lost the first game. You won some opportunities to serve, but you really didn't get on a run. You really didn't win 2, 3, 4 points in a row. What do you do differently? Or do you do anything differently?
Well, I did like some of those drive serves he threw in at the end. He had that one at the forehand that got a weak return. I think he has to drive serve. Iwaasa is just too good on lob serve. If you give him any time whatsoever, just like that there, he's too good when he's set up and has time. He's going to put so much pressure on you. So you need to drive serve, keep him off balance a little bit. And in those scrappy rallies, that's where Landeryou, even though those are the rallies he wants to avoid, he has to execute his shots. It means he's getting opportunities, but he has to realize that Iwaasa's quick, but he's not going to get a ball that rolls out or a good pass if he builds the rally the way he needs to.
So both line judges agree with the official that it was indeed a skip. Iwaasa was looking over to his coach, Corey Osborne, to see if it was a good shot. So I think that's why he appealed. But an appeal lost in this situation. Still at 0-0. Much better from Landeryou. Up in the service box. Puts it down with a forehand pinch. That's the first point. Again, a good drive serve. Got a poor return.
Yeah, that's the start he needs, and that's why he has to play these rallies, get an opportunity. He has to put that ball away.
But you're not going to do it like that, pushing the ball back, allowing Iwaasa to dictate the play, which is what happened in game 1.
No, I mean, that was, I'm not going to say a weak return, but definitely wasn't the quality return you expect from Iwaasa, so that's the one that Landeryou. The pace on the ball's high, it's coming at you, but he has to really bear down and put those balls away, finish that rally on the third shot.
Dies on the back glass. Iwaasa skips it deep in the back. Great ceiling ball from Landeryou. We've seen him come down from deficits multiple times this week. Iwaasa just missed it.
That's all Landeryou has to do. That's the shot.
2 serving 0. Landeryou changes position. And earns another point. 3-shot rally.
I like that mix-up, too. I think he got a couple good returns off that drive serve to the forehand, but Iwaasa's got too good of a forehand, and that's not going to work multiple times in a row.
Back he changes. I think there's going to be an appeal for a screen. It was very close to Landeryou's body. And both line judges disagree with our official Nelson, so it'll be a second serve coming up. Landeryou will want a wet ball if he loses this rally. So this is an example where, and you can see Landeryou looking back at Nelson, gave him a little look there. Why didn't you call that? Why doesn't Iwaasa appeal the wet ball?
I'm surprised. I mean, usually it's pretty obvious when the ball slides here. I thought Iwaasa would have stopped immediately, but maybe he felt there was no slide, no funny bounce. And
well, it looks like we will have that appeal. Well, one agrees and one disagrees, so 2 appeals lost by Iwaasa early in game number 2.
Yeah, and I haven't. It's been surprising to use it that early there, but I know he wants to continue with his momentum here from the first game and make sure he doesn't get into any sort of holes. So, unfortunate for him to lose those appeals, but you can definitely see why he wants to use them and get off to a good start here.
Landeryou. crisp. And that's even better. 2 good shots from Landeryou. Suddenly it's 5-0. What a turnaround. We've talked about it all week. What 2 minutes in between games can do to a player.
Yeah, I mean, he's come out and he's serving aggressively. I don't think the lob serve's going to work for him. So every time he's had a drive serve, he's gotten weak returns. I think it's a little bit uncharacteristic of Iwaasa to miss those. Those were good servers, but I think if that's what Landeryou continues to do without mixing it up significantly every single time, Iwaasa is going to catch on and clean up those returns. But for now, he's executed his shots really cleanly. He's gotten that weak return and hit that third shot really well, and that's exactly what he has to do if he wants any sort of chance to get back in this and force a tiebreaker.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, at least with Iwaasa returning, is if it goes across to his backhand, he almost always goes straight down the line. And if I'm Landeryou, I'm going to start picking up on that and covering that left side. And when Landeryou does serve down to Iwaasa's backhand, it's provided opportunities. Yeah, you're right. The lob serves, the Z serves, he's really cut off and punished. But those drive serves have caused a little problem in the second game.
Yeah, and we talk about Landeryou's experience. I mean, he knows exactly what the returns he's getting. He's got a fantastic coach, Lauren Prentice, who's seen it too. So he just had a chat with him in this time out here. So they're probably going to talk about what's been working. I'm sure he's going to go right back to that drive serve and hopefully get some more weak returns and finish some more rallies off here.
Well, let's see if Landeryou can continue this momentum that he's built in game number 2. Mixing his serves a lot. And you saw Iwaasa was trying to hit down the line and just mishit it. Caught Landeryou a little bit by surprise in the middle. Put it in the floor. Good timeout.
Really good timeout. I think Landeryou's expecting a bit of a cleaner shot that took him off guard, but again, that's not a good return, and he has to finish that.
Smart pass down the right side by Landeryou. Starting to see his experience and his ability to control the ball in the court.
Yeah, I mean, we could see he got a little bit frustrated there in that first game, missing some shots, but ultimately he's stayed pretty calm. He's still going for the same shots. He's not getting too worked up or changing anything about his game, and he's starting to execute a little bit more and hit some clean shots. Good smart pass on the right side there.
Took that ball really, really high, went for broke. Probably should have either gone back to the ceiling or let it drop a little bit. He got punished again by Landeryou.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him. I think the times on his back where he's ripped cross courts, wide angles has been successful. Just puts the pressure on and allows him to hit the ball with the pace he needs without the risk of coming off the back if you're hitting that sidewall. He gets back to that. I mean, great finish there from him, but I think if he starts throwing in some more cross courts off that backhand side, he'll have some success and work his way back into the second game.
I agree. He's hit consistently down that left side. You wonder whether it's deliberate, trying to keep Landeryou away from that forehand. But right now, Landeryou's backhand working superbly as well.
I think he had that one skip we talked about in the service box a few rallies ago, but other than that, he's been clean and pretty much error-free.
Little fist pump from Iwaasa. Side out. 0 serving 6. I like this from Landeryou, just slowing things down, going at his pace. Great serve. Iwaasa cracks out. Oh, the groans. It's a broken ball. Landeryou is grateful. That'll be a replay. See if you can do it again, he says to Iwaasa. It's great to see that even though this is very competitive, there's a lot at stake here. We've talked about karting and the opportunity to represent Canada at international events over the next couple years. They're still enjoying the moment.
And I think, too, that actually they know there's a little bit of laugh from both players. I think that actually works in Iwaasa's favor. He was a little bit tight to start this second game. Landeryou's been loose, so a little bit of a smile. That amazing what that body language can do and bring you down psychologically and calm you down, loosen you up a bit, and I think he'll get into a rhythm here shortly.
I think we all see it now where Iwaasa is consistently on the backhand aiming left, and Landeryou is kind of picking up on that and is ready for it. Again, as you said earlier, if he can go cross court a couple times, keep Landeryou guessing, he's going to have more luck over on the left side when he does hit it.
Yeah, Landeryou's way too good at re-killing balls down that left side with his backhand, so that's definitely a place you want to avoid, and he's been hitting really well in this match especially.
Snap of the wrist from Landeryou and a fist pump. Iwaasa bends down at the back, faces us, looking on. There's no room to watch. Landeryou dives, not quite. Again, you felt that Landeryou was in control of that rally.
He was. You look what it took from Iwaasa a minute. He was, fully sprinting, sprawled across the court there, running from the left wall all the way to the right side just to put away a tough pinch. But up until then, it was Landeryou in control.
Two serving 7. Landeryou composes himself in the back. Jam serve really seems to be working in this match.
Yeah, and he's, ran off a couple of points here, so he's, found a little bit of a rhythm with it, a couple of weak returns. So I think he'll mix up here, but I can see him going back to that quite often in the second game.
Wow. Ran around to his forehand and just rips a forehand reverse pinch over to the left side. You can see Iwaasa ready to go. Landeryou says, hold on, slow things down. I've been here before. But look at that serve. Landeryou wants a wet ball. So one line judge agrees and one disagrees. Call stands ace from Iwaasa. 5 serving 7.
And mental toughness. I mean, he was down there. He looked frustrated. He looked a little bit rattled, tight. And then he gets back in the service box, uses some of that adrenaline and the pressure of the moment to just put a little bit more heat on his serves. And, now he's already ran off a few points here. 2-point deficit isn't very much, especially for someone like him who's able to get those free points on aces.
Probably a really smart timeout from Landeryou.
Again, yeah, and we talk about how he puts his racket up to slow the pace down, but same thing here. He knows that if he can take a timeout, take a minute, let Iwaasa think about his serves. He's been crushing those last 3 or 4 here, so hopefully get a bit of a weaker serve, take him out of that rhythm, and get back in the service box and play well like he has been up until these last few points here.
Well, this has turned out to be an excellent second game. We hope you're enjoying this coverage of the semifinals here today. A reminder, tomorrow we have the women's final, which will be between the number 1 seed Jen Saunders and the number 2 seed Christine Richardson, along with the men's final, which will be one of these two, and they will be facing either the number 1 seed Samuel Murray or the number 4 seed Pedro Castro. So interesting that all 4 semifinalists, top 4 seeds, went the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, those top 4 here, especially in Canada, are such quality players. They definitely, there's the odd upset here and there, but they definitely stand out among the rest. They train so hard, they play so well, so they always find a way to make it through. regardless of how they're playing, regardless of the situation, and find themselves in these later rounds where they have the opportunity to medal.
Landeryou playing defense. That's the second shot over there that we've seen Iwaasa running around to his forehand and just ripping that reverse pinch.
And I think he was struggling a little bit on that backhand side there. He was hitting a lot of down lines that were catching the side wall, setting up Landeryou. So he started to run around, and obviously confident on the forehand. He's killed a few pinches there, so that's a good way to put the pressure on and get right back in the second game.
Again, that backhand down the line just isn't really working for him.
Seems to be struggling there, and that down line he hit wasn't really even, he didn't swing all the way through. It looked like it was 70%. He was trying to guide the ball instead of just ripping through, but I think he's lost a little bit of confidence on his backhand.
Well, that time he guides it down the left, and Landeryou gesticulates at the back wall. Says, man, why did it do that? Side out, 6 serving 7. Back and forth we go. Great defense from Landeryou. He had his opportunity in the middle of the court. Again, push the ball back on that pinch. Iwaasa able to capitalize and get another point, ties it up.
Yeah, that's again, you know, it's a couple missed opportunities, and shows that Iwaasa's he's gonna jump on those more often than not, and he did there for sure.
That time Iwaasa goes cross court, hits a great serve, gets the return, buries it down the right side, takes a lead in this second game.
And you know, sometimes it is easier to go cross court on the backhand for sure. Down line on the backhand it's a tough shot to hit clean. So to be able to just rip that backhand, get some more confidence to swing through cleanly on it, to know that it's, you know, not going to come off the back wall, create some trouble hitting the sidewall, possibly make it a wide angle, is a good way to get his confidence back on it and start getting back into his rhythm on the left side, not just the forehand.
Rare skip from Landeryou. Another point from Iwaasa. 9-7, 6 points away from a berth in the final. He is the doubles champion along with the #1 seed in singles, Samuel Murray. That time he hits a clean backhand down the line.
Yeah, and we talked about the cross-court hit earlier where he ripped that and looked confident on it. So I think, I mean, he got into rhythm with it. He was a little more confident on that swing. He swung through hard, 100%, and hit it really clean, really solid for a winner.
Wet ball called. That'll be a replay. I think another point, and we'll see a timeout from Landeryou. He was up 6-0.
Yeah, ever since Iwaasa's gone on this run, it's been, you know, 10-1 run, which is, you know, obviously, you know, very dominant. He's hit a lot of winners. Hasn't been a lot of errors from either of them. It's been clean racquetball, but Iwaasa just finishing these rallies here and really taking control.
Well, we've seen very few rallies in this match beyond 3-4 shots. Both players really capitalizing on good serving. Wow, great get, Landeryou. But not that time. Of course, I say the short rallies, and what do we get but a long rally? Again, though, it was Iwaasa controlling the point. Landeryou playing defense. Some great gets to stay in the point, but a lot of effort from Landeryou in that point.
Yeah, a couple great gets from him. He's not a player you normally see dive. He's usually very good at anticipating, quick on his feet, but doesn't like to dive, so you can see that he knows how important every single point is at this point in the match, and he can't afford to give away any, I wouldn't call it a free point when Iwaasa's hitting shots like that, but he wants to get everything, force him to hit as many balls as he can, and hopefully draw out an error and give him an opportunity to win the rally.
And it's hard to describe how hard Iwaasa hits this ball, and so your reaction time is just has to be a split second faster than most players that you play against, which can create that inconsistency in some of those errors.
Yeah, and the tough thing too is, I mean, they're both from the same province of Alberta, but a lot of the times you have playing players that are across the country, so you don't always have the opportunity to see that power on a regular basis. So, you know, you come here, you drill by yourself or with other players, but now you have to be that much quicker in your reaction time and everything you do, and it's very difficult because these balls are coming in so hard.
Just beautiful. Waited for it to come off the back wall. Stayed low. Another point, 12-7. Really surprised Landeryou hasn't taken his second timeout.
Yeah, you know what? I think he wants to get back in the service box before he takes it, is my guess. Maybe he won't hear and prove me wrong, but I know he's a player that likes to be in the service box, have control of what he's going to do next. Take some time here, think about it, maybe take that timeout now, but I think he's going to go right ahead and hit another tough drive serve.
Well, in the second game, he has won points when he served. He just hasn't gotten that side out that he needed. Of course, I say that. What do we get? Not a great serve. Kicks out to the middle. Iwaasa goes cross court, side out.
He's been swinging pretty freely ever since he's got on this run here, and just you can see how loose he is right now. He's confident on the serve, all the shots.
That was just ridiculous. You could just hear the power from outside of this court.
And I mean, you get a player as good as Landeryou anticipating how quick he is, and I mean, he hardly moved because the ball was so fast into that left corner.
Not that time, side out. Still 1 point closer to this final. 7-13. Landeryou switching between the drive serve over on the right and the Z serve over on the left. This time he serves behind his body and gets a point. Poor return from Iwaasa, taken a little bit by surprise perhaps.
Yeah, and again, we go back to that backhand. He's hit a few really well for some winners, but looks like he missed another one again here. Didn't quite hit it as hard. He was just trying to guide the ball, be too precise with it, and ends up leaving it up for a setup for Landeryou.
Just power from Iwaasa. Ball dies on the back glass. Landeryou looks back, shakes his head. 14-8. Here we go. Match point number 1. Great defense from Landeryou. Oh my goodness, now it's Landeryou's turn. Puts it down, saves the match point. Iwaasa had so many opportunities.
You have to think on all those opportunities if he's thinking, you know, this is the match, this is my final berth here. How much of that's creeping in and causing him to miss a few of those chances, but credit to Landeryou for making a great shot and finishing that rally off, staying alive here.
A point for Landeryou. 9-14. 1 point at a time. That's what Landeryou has to focus on. One rally at a time. Gets a good opportunity and another one. And Iwaasa skips it. Groans from around us. Landeryou had so many chances, and eventually it was Iwaasa who had the chance and made the mistake.
Yeah, that's 3 rallies now where he's had chances and hasn't capitalized, and I think, you know, we talked about that match point there and how close he is to finishing this, and I think he's thinking ahead just a little bit here. Needs to really focus on the moment and the point at hand. 15-14.
Iwaasa. Better opportunity. It's a bit scrappy. Landeryou. Finally, Iwaasa crunches one down the right. Oh my goodness. It looked good from here. Iwaasa thought he had a match point taken away with the appeals and the official calling a skip. Point for Landeryou, 11-14.
I actually thought it skipped myself, Tim, from here. It looked like it jumped up just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't get closer than that, but it's so tight here in this second game.
Also, what makes sports so much fun. Great defense from Iwaasa to keep that alive. Great get, Landeryou. Oh, that has to be a replay. You can see Landeryou, he doesn't like it. But the line judges agree. So, this is fun. Iwaasa well, I don't know if you heard that, but Iwaasa was appealing. So first Landeryou appealed and said, I want an avoidable hinder. You called a replay, I want avoidable hinder. And the line judges agreed with our head official. And then Iwaasa came out and said, well, I think he should have shot it. He didn't shoot it. I'm appealing that it shouldn't be a replay. It should be a side out. And the line judges agreed that it should have been a replay.
Tough as a referee, where that's the rare call where you manage to make both players upset. I mean, Landeryou's asking Iwaasa, do you want me to take that ball? Do you want me to shoot it next time? Iwaasa told him, you know, go ahead. I think I give you plenty of space here. So good timeout from him. A little bit of controversy. Takes away from his momentum, slows the game down.
This is kind of what we wanted, though. It's drama, it's racquetball. We've got great shot making, we've got great athletic ability and great gets. And then we also have the contentious issues of, did that skip? Was it a good shot? Should it be a replay? What's an avoidable? It's certainly, we have everything in this second game for sure.
Yeah, and it's been cleanly called up until these last few points. It's interesting to see. We haven't tracked it, but I think a lot of the first games usually is a lot cleaner. There's not as many disputed calls, but you get the second game. Fatigue sets in. They're really in the match. The adrenaline's flowing. Things are getting tight. And all of a sudden, you know, every call becomes so much more important. And the players are, you know, so eager to win every point. They don't want to give anything away. They don't want to leave it up to the ref's interpretation. That's why they're going to the linesman, hoping the correct call is made every time.
And speaking of officials, we appreciate everybody here who's officiated, and many who have even just been here to officiate in this tournament. It's such a difficult job, and so much fair play we've also seen on these courts this week. But what we have here is Landeryou making a comeback. He was down pretty heavy in game number 2. Remember, he went up 6-0, then Iwaasa went on a huge run. And now, point by point, we talked about that, focusing on just the next rally. Suddenly, we have 12-14.
Yeah, I think it was down 14-7 there. And, you know, he talked about Landeryou's experience. He realizes he's not going to score 8 points on a single shot. He's got to do it one at a time, which he's done here. Great serves, smart rallies, a lot of gets. And it's frustrating Iwaasa. It's starting to get in his head a little bit here as he wants to close this out.
Well, the timeout worked. Landeryou not happy with that right corner, but Iwaasa took the timeout, hit a great defensive shot, earns another match point. Let's see if he can close it out this time. And he skips it, and he kind of grimaces, and you just feel that the tension is getting to him.
Yeah, he overswung just a little bit there. We talked about his backhand. There hasn't quite been the confidence there, this second game especially, and that right there, he's going to be thinking about this one here if Landeryou manages to squeak out a couple more points, tie this up.
Another skip on that backhand side. Landeryou really finding this serve. It seems to be working, going across his body to the backhand side. He's won several points this way.
And interesting to note, I mean, we talked about Iwaasa's power on the serve, but Landeryou obviously doesn't hit it as hard, but his placement is so good, and he's so smart with it that it can be just as effective without having those extra miles per hour.
Oh, again, the ball dies in the back corner, side out. Landeryou visibly upset. He does have a timeout remaining, but I do like this. He's regrouping. He's getting focused. Match point number 3. And he gets it with a skip from Landeryou. Mitch, it was a great match and very fiercely competitive, especially in that second game.
Yeah, no, all the credit in the world to Landeryou for, 15-5 first game. Everything looked to be going Iwaasa's way, even with some bounces, some serves, and Landeryou stays tough. Built up a huge lead there, and then you had Iwaasa start being the one that had to dig in and find a way to get back into the match. And props to him for serving really well. Some fantastic bombs he hit, especially to that left side, just to get weak returns. And even though he got tight at the end there, it's a great way to close it out and get into the finals.
Well, I think if Pedro Castro, who's walking on the court right now, followed by Samuel Murray, that'll be our next semifinal. If either of those watch this match we just saw, I think, well, if I want to beat Iwaasa, I need to pick on that left side and that backhand because he's not hitting it very clean right now, and he's also particularly going straight down the line, so I need to cover that. That's probably where I want to serve, where I want to hit the majority of my shots.
I think so for sure. I mean, that was definitely the weaker side. You saw him run around on a few backhands to hit forehand pinches there, so obviously the confidence is on the right side. The thing for Iwaasa too, now he has a whole night to think about that backhand. So sometimes as a player, when you have this much time between matches, an entire day, you start thinking about your mistakes, you start overthinking your backhand swing and wondering, what can I do better? What do I have to change to improve it? When realistically, he just needs to realize it was one match. He has a great backhand. He'll probably tighten up for tomorrow. He's too good of a player not to make those adjustments, but he can't let that affect him too much here. Obviously, the winner of this match, this next semifinal here, is probably going to be picking on that backhand for sure until he can prove them otherwise.
Well, there's also an advantage to watching your own match, right? And so if he goes back and watches this match tonight, looking at, okay, where do I need to improve? Maybe that is something he will pick up on and say, okay, I need to start going a little bit more cross court. I need to be a little bit more clean on my backhands, or maybe even go to the ceiling a little bit more instead of hitting shoulder height. That could transform his game tomorrow so that he's a little bit better from watching his own match from today.
I think so too. I mean, he's well coached by Corey Osborne, who's been looking on, so I'm sure they'll be chatting tonight and tomorrow up until the final just to talk about what he can do to make that backhand more effective, whether it is ripping some more balls cross court wide angle to get the confidence there. The down lines were a bit loose, they weren't working today, but I'm sure he'll watch the footage, figure out what he's got to do better. Even though he played a great match, there's always room to improve, and he wants to make sure that he fixes any small holes that he can before the final tomorrow.
Well, we're going to take a little break while these players warm up. We'll leave the stream running, and we're going to be back for this semifinal number 2.